Okay, so we're back here with the daily dev work videos, and today we're going to step away from working on ICBM real quickly to work on some client projects. For this, we're going to be working on Wojujo's mod to get the generator added, and hopefully the sentry gun powered by the generator. So let me go ahead and open this mod up. So we're going to want to go ahead and make a new package for this. Just call it generator. And we're going to make this via the node system, so it'll be a little easier to actually, yeah, we'll do the node system. I was trying to think if I really wanted to do it that way. So this would be tile, we'll call it tile power generator in case he wants more content down the road. And this will extend our tile node class. Or actually, we'll extend tile machine node. That way we can get a little bit extra stuff going on here. We really don't need an inventory for this, because if I go pull up the documentation on what he wanted real quick, probably should have did this before I got started. So we'll go pull this up, and I'm opening this up on my other monitor, by the way, since I can't exactly show you the documentation, but I can talk about it. So get the project specification up. Okay, so I know when he does want a generator, he wants it to be multi-blocked. I think he wants it to be a 2x2. Needs to be able to power everything around it, but not really require much. I think the only thing he wants to be able to do is stick fuel in it. So yeah, let's put an inventory on this. So we'll put a bucket style inventory on it, so you can put buckets in and out of it. So it'll be external inventory, and then we'll just implement the methods. Right now, all thing we have to do is implement the create inventory method. So this will be new external inventory, and we'll do 2 slots because that's all we really need. And of course, we need to tell it that this is the host of the inventory. Then we'll create constructor. The ID is going to be machine.power.gen. This doesn't matter, as I've noted before. It's like just kind of there. What's the name of this mod? Yes, survival mod. For some reason, that's not importing. SUR, right there. Survival mod domain, so we can declare what domain it belongs to. So we're going to have to make a GUI for this as well, so we're going to just go ahead and initialize this. So we'll have GUI power gen. There will be a container, so it'll be container power gen. Now I was hoping to also get the JSON GUI stuff done for this, so that way I didn't have to continuously keep working on my client's project. The plan is to get all of his stuff converted over the same mentality of ICBM, where it's Minecraft version independent. That way I don't have to come back in here and update his mod down the road if he decides that he wants that done. Right now I'm probably not going to update his mod for free if he ever does ask, so it will cost him if he wants to have it updated. But luckily it'll probably be pretty cheap. It'll be like a couple dollars. So get an update method because we're going to have to generate power. Or we're going to have to determine if we have power. So we're going to have like a boolean here. So we're going to have a protected boolean is powered equals false. And we're going to need a fluid tank. Alright, so we're going to want to put a few things on it. So we're going to implement iFluid tank. No, iTank provider, I think is what it's called. Yep, there we go. And remarkably, this is all defaulted out, even though it really shouldn't be. Get tank for direction, can fill, can drain. Yeah, we're good. We'll have to do a can fill method for this, though. So we're going to do protected fluid tank equals new fluid tank. And say it can store like 10 buckets. So 10 times fluid container registry times bucket volume. And we'll just go ahead and return tank down here. And just this will be public. Override. We do need to make sure that it's the correct fluid, though. I think we can use a fluid name. So let's Yeah, let's do the fluid name here. So I'm going to go, okay, if fluid doesn't equal null, and fluid dot, I think it's get fluid. Fluid. No. There we go, get name. So what we want to do is we just kind of want to get a list of supported fluids up here. So we'll go public, static, final, list, string, supported fuels, supported fluids actually, yeah. And we'll just make sure we put stuff in here. And this may turn into a hash map here later, so we go supported fluid and then power amount. But right now we'll just do a list at the moment, and we'll switch it as we go. So right now we're going to go supported fluids, and we'll go add, and we'll go fuel, because I think it's how we're going to do it right now. So return null, and we want to go supported fluids dot contains fluid dot get name. Now this will have to be exact, so it'll have to be exact case. So we're gonna have to go probably check BuildCraft and see what it's named as. We'll do that here in a bit. Right now we want to go, okay, if so we want to determine how much fuel we're going to consume per tick. So we go public static int fuel consumed per tick, and right now we're going to set it to like 10 millibuckets. Or yeah, we'll just let the user define that here later. So we want to go supporting, or we go tank dot get fluid doesn't equal null. And by the way, at the beginning of each tick, we're going to set it powered to false. And then we'll have to go through this chain in order to get repowered. So go tank.getFluid doesn't equal null. And then we want to go supported fluids dot contains tank.getFluid.getFluid.getName. So we determine if the fluid in there not only exists, because we want to make sure we have a fluid stack, that we have a fluid on that stack, and that it is a supported fluid. If all those are good, then we want to then do a volume check. We then want to go, okay, if tank.getFluid amount is greater than fuel consumed per tick, then we just go is powered equals true. And then we want to consume that fuel even if there's not enough to stay powered. It'll just be how it is. And if the client decides he wants to change that, he can change that. So this would be tank.drain fuel consumed per tick true. And actually, we're going to put this down here, so that way we drain afterwards, not before. And that's good. That's our update tick right there. That'll keep it powered, and we'll have an is powered check. And then our next thing to do would be to find all tiles nearby and try to power them. That one's going to be a little trickier, as I'm trying to think of exactly how to do that. Oh, while I'm thinking about that, let's go ahead and get this part taken care of. So this will be class name equals tile wrapped power generator. I'm hearing the washer dryer ticking behind me. I think either somebody's messing with it or it's being weird. Make sure I've actually named this correctly. Okay, so then we want to also do external inventory wrapped, and then we want to add fluid tank provider wrapped, then add multi-block wrapped. We also want to make sure we put rotation code on here, rotation. Go ahead and implement this stuff. Make sure I'm actually recording. Yeah, I'm recording. Cool. Always have to check that. And then we need to cache our rotation code. So private forge direction cache, return direction cache. If direction cache doesn't equal null or equals null, then direction cache equals forge direction dot get orientation, and then we want to get meta. That should work. We might want to do get opposite real quick, like we've done on all our other tiles. That way it always faces the player rather than facing away from the player. That's pretty much done. The only thing we have to do now is just make sure. We also need to do this too. We're gonna go if is server. We'll make sure we're only doing update logic server side. And then we're gonna go to do power all tiles nearby. Basically, the client wants a generator, by the way, that just gives power, doesn't care how much power it gives, just everything turns on nearby, lights, whatever. I'm going to be using the current energy system to do this, so this means his generator will power pretty much everything. I think. I might make an API for this real quick. Because the problem is I've got to supply this on his turret, but not all of my turrets, which was the reason I'm thinking about just going straight out and just providing RF out of this. I might just do like a list of tiles that are allowed. We'll do it this way. Public static final list class extends tile entity, and we'll go supported tiles. That should work, I think. We're gonna do this as a string, actually. That way, I don't have to actually add support for certain things. Because the thing is, we don't have access to the armory mod in here, but what we're trying to power is one of the armory turrets. Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. The trick is the APIs are not exactly shared between these two very well. So right now we're just going to provide power to turrets. That's about the only way we can kind of do it, and I'll let the client kind of figure that out. If he really badly needs it to work the way he wants it to work, then I'll make adjustments as needed. So let's see. So we want the tile sentry. This is going to be switched over to the node system eventually, so I have to make sure to remind myself that this is there. Yeah. We'll do this here. To do switch to node system, remember to update low judos mod when you do. Okay. That'll work. And then there is a way to get all tiles within range. So what we want to do is we want to come up with a range value. So we can go public static int power provider range. And we're going to say like 100 blocks. And then of course this will be config driven, so I'll let the client change it at will. So how we do this is theoretically, I believe the chunks store tiles. So we're going to try it this way. Because there should be a list of tiles in this list here somewhere. Or not. There used to be a way to do this. Once upon a time. There's really not an easy way to do this. Because I don't think he wants wires. He wants like an easy button system, and I have an idea, but I don't know if I want to go through all that effort just to do this. So, Volt's engine has a threading system. It's a really cool threaded system. It's really nice at doing various things. One of the good things it's for doing is running stuff out of the main system. So we could, in theory, inside of a thread, iterate over every tile entity in the world and then find the ones we want. Our alternative approach is we build up some system in Volt's engine to cache tiles by type or tiles by unique ID. I'm going to go with the second option because the threaded option has a lot of drawbacks, and there's some pretty serious ones in that implementation. So we're not going to do that because, one, we could easily crash, because if you're actually accessing something in the world, and if it changes while you're accessing it, you'll get like a list modification. You'll get a concurrent modification error is what it's called, and it'll crash the game. It's one of the biggest downsides of messing with threads. The way to fix it, though, is you just copy the list real quick, and then you iterate over it, but then that has memory drawbacks. So we're going to go into Volt's engine, and if I can remember where it's at, it's on the bottom, of course. We need to make an API for this, or not an API, we just need a common accessible point. We could throw this in the API. Because what this is technically part of, it's technically part of the radar system, is what we're kind of more or less doing. So, So we have a radar map, we have a radio map. We could just pop it onto the radar system because there is radar tiles, and then we could pull it off the radar system that way. But that would leave these sentry guns accessible via the radar system for other mods, and we don't want that to happen. Radar system is meant to be used more or less to only track large objects and stuff, like missiles. You're not supposed to be able to see a sentry gun, because you can imagine if you put a radar array up, the radar array does not have any way of determining if it can line of sight check something. It detects everything. It's pretty much a I can see all your stuff thing. So we're just going to make something called map, and then we're going to do something like this. We're going to make a tile map. Okay, let's take a look at our radar system. So we got a radar map. Our radar map, of course, stores all kinds of cool little things. It stores by chunk, and it stores all of our radar objects. This is our actual map too, because we got a radar registry, which then stores world by radar map. So we take a look at the radar registry. There's nothing really fancy going on about it. But we basically do want to mimic the radar system without actually mimicking the radar system. I don't know. We could modify the radar system. You know what? Let's copy the radar system, and we're just not going to make a new map for it. So this will be we'll call it tile map registry, and and we're just going to use radar maps and stuff for it. Let's see what else we got here. Why are you having problems grabbing the entity? Oh, because probably some stuff is private. Make a new package called data. The reason we're doing this real quick is to fix some stupidity that might have popped up in here. Yeah, so there's a lot of little itty beats parts that are kind of having trouble getting access now because they're kind of protected and stuff. So you want basically most of this stuff now. So public. I don't know why that's protected. Okay, so we basically have something that we can recycle here. And what we want to do is we're going to remove anything that refers to entities. So the easiest way we're going to do that is just grab this part and remove it. So you can't add entities to this system. The system is just purely for tracking tiles. And this thing is, the radar system is designed almost purely for tracking entities. The only reason it has the ability to track tiles is for legacy support, more or less. And I think we're going to have to do all this stuff here. So let me go to the radar registry and figure out where this is mapped at. Okay. Right there you are. And what we're going to do is we're going to do the tile map. This should in theory work though. So the downside is we are going to have to test it in order to ensure that it is functional. Let's get rid of a few of these real quick so we have less objects on our screen. Okay, so add tile entity, remove tile entity, get radar map for world. Okay, cool. Okay. World to maps. Should be good. We just got to implement it now. So part of the implementation is we're going to want to actually, how are we going to use this? There's no code for just tracking tile entities. I guess we can just get radar objects within range here, and then we can just sort through them and get our proper objects. I think it's how we're going to end up doing it. I think this works. Yeah, because I think it's how we actually end up using it, is we call that and then we just sort by entities. We're probably going to want to make a method in here for that, because right down here we're going to want to go tile map registry get radar for dem. We're going to want to provide our dem, which is going to be world.provider.dimension ID. And course, this is going to give me back a radar map. And then we're going to go and map dot get radar objects for cube. And of course, we're going to want to catch our actual cube up here so we're not remaking it every couple ticks. Cube, this would be area of effect. And we'll just do this right now. We'll go if is powered. And then we'll go if area of effect equals null. Area of effect equals new cube. And it'll be 2pos, I think is, yeah, 2pos dot subtract range. I'll go 2pos dot add. There we go. That should give us our cube. I think there's a method to trim to world too. Crop to world, which we want to do in case we're off the edge. Because if this ends up being off the edge and we actually pass it down into one of these methods, it will just refuse to work. It'll just go, hey, that's not a valid object, but it won't error out. It won't give you back any data. So we go area of effect for here, and what is that boolean? Exact. Yeah, we're going to want exact, so we're going to go true. And this gives me back a list of radar objects. And then basically we're just going to go for loop through all these. We're going to radar object, object, objects. This would run each tick. Luckily, it's not too bad. We are going to probably want to performance check it, so we're going to go long start time equals system dot nanotime. And then down at the bottom here, we'll go start time equals system dot nanotime minus start time. And then we'll just do, I think, survival mod dot instance. No, we don't have an instance apparently. Oh, there it is. Apparently no logger in that class. That's fine. We'll just do engine.logger.info, and we'll go and then this will be string utility, I believe. So I think it's string helpers. There we go. And then format nanotime, and then we just pass in start time. That way it'll format that into something that's readable for us, and we can actually get our stuff here. Get rid of this. What we're looking for is if object is instance of radar tile, and we're going to go tile entity equals object dot tile. And then we want to go if supporting tiles dot contains tile entity dot that should work. We may have to process this. Maybe I think it might actually put class in the front of the name. So we'll have to check that. And if it is supported, then we want to go, okay, if tile entity is instance of energy buffer provider, then we want to go tile entity dot get energy buffer. We'll go forge direction dot unknown. This will be energy buffer equals that. If buffer does not equal null. Actually, I don't know why we're doing this whole system. There's a better way. So tile entity forge direction dot unknown integer dot max value. That's what we want to dump into it. Joules and do charge, which is true. We don't care to check to see if it took the energy. We don't care what it is. If it's a supported tile, it's on the list. We want to pump energy in it. The universal system will work on everything, although things like IC2 are not well tested because we just haven't got around to it. RF is tested well, and of course the UV power is almost dead on. So that'll run. That should power everything. We just need to make sure that this check runs, and then we need to add our sentry gun to the list, and of course we'll sit here on profile to make sure that this isn't taking up too much time. This needs to run in under a millisecond because if you get too many of these, remember each tick you only get 50 milliseconds worth of runtime. And yeah. Okay. Cool. So this is basically done. We just need to add a JSON file for it. And then we need to register our sentry guns. So I'm going to go to com, armory. What we're probably going to do is come back through here, and we're going to redo this here later to actually use that threaded system like I said I was going to avoid doing. The advantage of actually doing a threaded system via Volts Engine itself is I could optimize it down so it will not malfunction and crash the game, and I can track every single tile in the world. But right now we're just going to do the armory system, so we're just going to go down to our sentry gun, and we want the tile only, so we're going to go tile sentry gun, and there should be a validate and invalidate method that we want to attach to. Call validate and invalidate. Oh, you know what? We have a tile onload and unloaded event here. You know what? We may just piggyback this. You know what? That's actually a really good idea. That's actually an amazing idea because that gives us so much possibility right there. Does our wrap tile use that though? Also, you know one thing I need to also do here? If this needs to go, okay, if tile entity doesn't equal null, and tile entity is instance of tile power generator, we want to make sure we're not feeding ourselves power. And we want to make sure we're not passing back a null object. Actually, apparently we can't do that. Actually, we can do this. Tile doesn't equal get host. And we just need to move that off the front of there. That way we're at least not giving ourselves power, but we can sort of give other tiles power. The thing is that there technically is no buffer on this. So you can't actually just plug into this and take power in and out of it. Because there's actually not a power provider, but we want to exclude ourselves anyways, so speaking of get host here, I need to go find the tile node and make sure it triggers events here. But our tile map registry, what we can do is do a couple events here. So we go public void on tile loaded, and it would be tile event. By the way, the tile event is part of the Volts engine. It's not a forged thing, even though it really should be a forged thing. So we want to do tile load event. And then we want to do the unload event as well. We do need to do a few things, like I do need to ensure that there's a weak reference to the tile, so that way it actually does die off properly, in case we get some glitches or weird things. We also need to do event.tile doesn't equal null. Do this real quick so we get the events. And then we want to go pretty much add event.tile. And also we leave our marker to do check if there was a tile already stored at location. Okay, that should run. This is we only need to do an extra check here, and then technically, when it comes to the radar object, we do need to make sure that we invalidate if the whole chunk unloads or something. Actually, our chunk unload already works. So it removes an entire chunk. And it will unload an entire world, so that should clean up itself. We shouldn't have to worry about too many problems. The only issue is if the tile gets removed improperly by another mod, it may leave junk memory, because this will still be referencing the tile even though the tile should already be gone. But this will handle automatically for our sentry guns. So then what we're just pretty much looking for is if it's the correct tile. So now all we gotta do is register this object, which I'm gonna go ahead and copy one of the tile objects from ICBM real quick, so I can just kind of speed up the process. We're gonna grab the warhead station, which we worked on here yesterday, I believe. So close this, and we're gonna go find Wujuju's mod here, and then just make a new package. And this is the gen. Okay, so we're gonna have to do the render. We're gonna have to do the crafting recipe. I believe I do have the crafting recipes around here somewhere. We're gonna have to change the mod name here. Okay, we're gonna want to name it something, so we're just gonna call it Power Gen. And then this would just be we'll just go through here and name all this stuff. We're gonna need to get the tile location here, which we just go up here and grab the package, and then we'll just grab the name in a second. And then we'll need to set up a processor for this as well. It's going to have some rotation on it, so it'll place via rotation. It is going to have multi-block codes, so we do need to make sure we implement that. Shoot, I need to go copy that from ICBM again. Probably should have grabbed the other one instead of grabbing this one. So if we go to the missile workstation, it does have multi-block support. There's probably a few other things we're probably going to want to do with this here later. Right now, the client didn't ask for a huge amount of stuff, so we just kind of want to more or less give him what he asked for and nothing more. It's a really good idea to always take that kind of mentality that unless the client legitimately asks for something, you don't give it to him, because then you're both wasting your time and money at that point. Okay, so we're going to have to redo all the model IDs and stuff, and redo the recipe. I guess right now we can just kind of do that. Make sure at least we got the output ID correct. Yeah, that'll work. ID, multi-block. Okay, there's our listener, so we just need to go grab our multi-blocks down here. And we just really need to add, because the multi-block is a 4x4 city. You know what, we don't even need a rotation on this one. So you know what, I only need to copy one of these then. Close that. And we'll put this down here. Make sure we get the name. The tile has rotation on the render, but not the multi-block. So actually we want to remove the do rotation part. And then we just need to make a 2x2 out of this. This is going to be fun. We need to pick what corner the tile is. I think he said 2x2 as well. I might have to make this bigger. So there's our -1. That's a bit too big, so I'm going to go 1 in the X, 1 in the Z. I'm going to do some doodles here to make sure I'm doing this right. So we got that right there. Okay, now we say that corner is our tile there. So this is going to be X, Z, and this will be X and Z in the positive. Okay. So there we go. That means our corner is set pretty well. And that gets us our first layer. Then our second layer is going to be pretty much the same thing, except we're going to up the Y, and then we're going to add one more tile. And our tile is literally just going to be 0, 0, because it's going to be the one above it. There we go. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which we should have 8 blocks, so yeah, that's correct. And the rest of this looks good. We just have to redo the model here. I don't think we have to change, well, we'll probably want to change the offset here. Definitely going to want to change the scale. The scale on our model, so yeah, we actually are going to need an offset for this because we're going to up the scale. So the scale is 2. Because the model I was given was a 1x1, and unfortunately the client's like, hey, I want a 2x2 now. It's like, well, I'm not going to redo the whole model for you. So you're just going to get a scaled up model. Which, by the way, let's go grab the models while we're at it. So that'd be Google Drive, work, BuiltBroken, Minecraft, requests, models, Jujo. And I need to open up I really don't have any, man, I don't have any bookmarks to my main drive anymore for some reason. Okay, this is in here somewhere. Oh, source, main, resources, assets, Jujo, models. I don't see it in here, so good, we can transfer it. It's a gas generator. We want this, this. We want to just copy these real quick. So these will be our actual model if we open that up real quick. Yep, there we go. That should scale up actually pretty decently. There's going to be no animation on it, of course, because, well, that was never asked for. And then our texture goes in here. So Control C, Control V. And our texture does look pretty good. Yeah, should be good on all that stuff. Wonder if he ever finished the weapons. He's got models for him. There's no textures for him. I really need to start poking at him and be like, hey, I really need those textures finished. Okay. Oh, shoot, I actually do need to open that back up. Luckily, it's still pinned. The reason I need to open that back up is I actually need to define those textures and models and stuff. So I'm going to drag it onto my screen real quick while I go down, and of course we don't have models in here. Luckily, I can go down to the Sentry Gun real quick and copy its model definitions. Actually, you know what? I need to go do what I did with my other stuff, and I need to abstract this to its own file real quick. Because the methodology we're currently using is that each one gets a separate file for this one. But if some of my other mods, I haven't been doing that. So this will be render.json. There we go. That way that's in a separate file by itself. And we just kind of need to... You know what? We're missing a piece off that. We're just going to use the model ID as basically the name of the tile right now. We'll come down here and go, okay, here's your key for both of these, and we'll rename both of them, right? We don't have to mess with the domain, we just have to get the names set. So what we're doing is gas generator. I think it's the same on both of these. It wasn't for the Sentry Gun though, so I do have to double check. Yeah, it's the same on both these, cool. I don't get why when it came to the Sentry Gun it was different. Okay, and then remove that. We don't really have to get that, but that makes it look nice and The rest of this, I mean, we don't have to mess with the equipped and stuff because it should scale properly because the block is single-sized. We may have to translate it to get it correct, but this is the part that's going to be interesting because we'll have to offset it, and I think all I need to do is offset it by 1 in each direction. I think. We'll have to test that. It may be 1 in the other direction. Well, that should initialize it, and we should get a object here, and now the only thing we need to do is add a code generator run. So we're going to go ahead and duplicate ICBMs, and this will be code gen judo. Okay, and we just need to get the source path correct because yeah, source path and the output path need to be set. So be source, and it wants the main Java folder. And then it needs an output folder, which will be generated, I believe. Output, yeah, it's gen then Java. We actually have scripts set up to merge these back into the main folder too. It's just we separate them because it part of the code generating process actually deletes the generated folder. It's in order to prevent problems because it doesn't understand what files it made last time. So until I get to that point, we'll have to do it this way. Our processor doesn't change and our template location doesn't change on that one, but what we need to do is make sure that that runs before we run our mod here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and actually change my ICBM only to include... Actually, no, we already have it in the light mod. I just need to add... So go ahead, edit run configuration, and we'll go to light mod and use it for this. And we need to add run before. Run another configuration. And we need to make sure that that runs before everything else. So hit apply. Cool. And if we run debug, I'm going to run light client. Okay. And what are we at recording time? 47 minutes? Almost done. Doesn't take too long to make these. It really doesn't. About an hour a block almost how it's been so far. And we can actually see over there that it just generated that file. So there's the code it generated, and it contains basically multi-block, fluid code, inventory, I-sided support. It's all in there. Really nice that that is working as well as it is because it saves me so much time. It also makes our code more manageable and future-proof because if for some reason down the road inventory support changes, which I believe it did in 110, then all I have to do is re-update the template. I don't have to touch any of my other code, update the template, rerun the code generator, and I'm done. So that's one piece of code that then probably does like 50 tiles. Okay, it looks like it's running. So far, no errors. Hopefully it stays that way. So I want to be able to call this video an end before too long. Probably have to make this a part 2 style video where I'll pick this up probably tomorrow and finish it off. I got to go and finish off some of the ICBM stuff too tomorrow, as we're still not finished with the small missile workshop. That'll have to bit more work. As far as I could tell, last time I was looking at it, it's almost done. We did fix the multi-block code yesterday. Quite a few issues with the multi-block templates. That's one of the downsides with also doing templates is if you don't get them right the first time, they can break 50 tiles, not just fix 50 tiles, but break 50 tiles. Or more, depending on how far you get. I mean, the plan is we're going to have so much content down the road that if one template breaks, all of our mods break at the same time. But that's where unit testing comes in. If you do your unit testing properly, that should never happen. Because what you'd have is you'd have a unit test that tests to make sure the template works. Then you'd have unit tests to make sure that the completed, compiled templates also work properly. So once you get them turned into the wrapped tiles, which is what we make with the code generator, you can then create a reusable JUnit test that then runs on all of them. Okay, so just load up a new world here. Okay, yeah, this is where we were testing ores the other day. A lot of ores we have in this mod, and it's not even close to how many we're planning on adding. Although I do try to avoid adding more ores. Okay, his block is not on this tab. Did it actually create? I mean, it didn't crash. I could have got the mod ID wrong, which might be why it didn't load. I doubt that, though. It might have just flat out not loaded. Okay. Let's make sure we got the mod ID correct, because I think this is the first content piece we have in here that might have a different mod ID. Domain is Wojujo Survival Mod, which looks correct. I see what's wrong with his mod. Okay. He doesn't have the claim content system, which is handled by extending abstract mod. Yeah, implement methods. Get proxy. Return proxy. And then this needs to be super.postinit event, which then is going to change how the proxies load. Super.init event. Eventually I'm going to come back through his mod and handle some of this stuff differently, because I don't know why I started making... Actually, I know why his mod was made differently. I was originally going to make his mod separated as independent mod, because I think it's what he actually wanted originally. And then he decided that it was okay to have it be a voltage mod. Yeah, these need to be handled via JSON eventually. Yeah, actually, all does need to be handled. So those are just recipes. There's some ore dictionary redos right there, so that's good. There's our generic stuff here. Yeah, there should be a constructor here. I was looking for that constructor, trying to figure out where it was. There we go. So we want to do this up here. And we're not going to change the config path. I'll leave it where it's at. But we do want to do a few different things here. I think it's already handled by the super for us. I'm not seeing anything else I need to change here. I do need to do mod manager. Right now we're more or less registering his stuff the old way. So I need to do some stuff here. To do convert to JSON and use mod manager. It's not too big of a deal. This will work just fine. But that should fix our loading and saving problem. I mean, not loading and saving, but our loading of the JSON content. The thing with the JSON content, if you ever do implement it in your own mod, you do need to do a few things. Right now, the easiest way to do this is just extend abstract mod, but you don't have to. The parts that you actually need are down here somewhere, I think. It's actually here. You need iJSON genmod. And what this will do is it'll find the mod manager to register content with and a few other things. Essentially, it claims the content is how it works. Just trying to find the spot for it. I think claim content is called somewhere else, but that should work, I think. So I think the only thing it needs to know is that you are a JSON genmod, and it just needs to get the mod manager to register the content with. I'll have to go take a look later and make some notes, because I always forget how this stuff works, even though I made it. It's one thing, like, always document your stuff. Not just, like, Java docs here like I've got. Go beyond that, because you're seeing the problem I'm having, where I'm having difficulties remembering how to do certain things that I made only a few months ago. Okay, so we crashed. Initialization exception. Okay, we forgot to remove this piece. Just kind of wait for this to load. Probably make a couple more mods very similar to this one I'm working on for a client where you have these generators which just provide power. Because I'm pretty sure people would enjoy having dumbed down machines is a good way to put it. So things that you don't have to think really hard to utilize. Because I mean, occasionally even people who love complexity, like myself, love to just some days just log in and just easy button the day. Just put down a couple machines that don't take effort to build and don't take effort to maintain or work with. Probably going to make a whole mod like this, because I know we're going to be making a IC2 style mod here pretty soon. It's going to be a proof of concept style mod. It's not actually meant to be a replacement for IC2. We're just going to use it to test our power system and various other things. Okay, cannot be cast. We messed something up here. Yeah, right here's what we messed up. We grabbed the wrong name here. So it's trying to actually apply that tile entity, which means I need to go to the render and fix it as well. Okay. Just a few typos and stuff. This is the reason why I want to get an editor, because the editor could catch these errors for me. One more step forward, I guess. Hoping to at least get, by the end of this video, showing that the machine actually is functional-ish. Well, maybe not functional, but it does work, and I'll just, next video, we'll finish it off. And then after that, I got still a lot more content to make for this client. Trying to get as much of his content done as possible, but at the same time I need to make sure I get these 1.8 updates out for and stuff. But unfortunately, I do need the money because books cost a lot for college, and then I'm still not sure if I'm going to have to pay for any of my classes. Right now it's looking like I may not have to, but there's always that possibility that something goes wrong and then all of a sudden I'm required to pay $1,000 to my college like I did last semester. Actually, I think last semester was like $1,500. A lot of money when you consider the fact that I barely make anything off of modding, and freelancing is not exactly the greatest way to make money either. The alternative is going and working for a bank and working 12 to 14 hours a day coding their bank systems. Almost landed a couple of those jobs, but if I ever get one of those jobs, well, I may never be able to mod again. Let's see. Failed to find the class file. Did it create the class file? Oh no, we haven't added to our project workspace. That's the reason why it's probably failing. I need to make a step-by-step plan on how to do this stuff down the road, because even I'm messing my step-by-step plan. Okay, that should fix. Probably only a couple more small bugs. I gotta go through and convert this content. I'm probably not gonna convert this content right now because it works and I don't want to break it. But probably here after I get the update done of ICBM and get it updated to 1.8 and 1.9, I'll probably do a brush over on this client's project and get all this stuff converted to JSON in a node system. Because if I don't do that, then I gotta leave legacy code in VoltSengine for stuff to continue to work. I'd like to get rid of as much of the legacy code as possible. Especially considering we're ditching the tile system and we're going for the node system, but I wrote... The weird thing is I wrote one of his tiles in just a flat-out tile entity, and I wrote another one of his tiles as a node system. So if we actually go look at that. His campfire is a flat-out vanilla tile, and so is the crafting grid. But then the explosive is, oh no, it's a block explosive too. You know what? That might have actually been a pretty smart idea. That means very little dependency on Volt's engine. It does depend on a couple of the prefabs though. But I don't plan to get rid of those prefabs because even though they're legacy code, they're kind of useful. But I guess I'll still end up converting his stuff to the node system here later because it'll drop down how much amount of code is required to support his tiles, especially the multi-block tiles, because he's got a multi-block crafting grid. Although that one needs a little bit more work. I have to actually, because it'll craft 3x3 recipes just fine, but it has a 4x4 crafting grid, and if you try to craft a 3x3 in the bottom of the crafting grid, it fails. And there is a very easy fix for that. Just a tedious fix. It's one of those things like I'd have to spend a day just kind of sitting there tweaking it and making it work. Because it involves providing a fake crafting grid that then maps to the non-default inventory slots, but then tricks Minecraft into believing it's the default inventory slots, and then it fixes itself. The only problem would be trying to craft certain mods crafting stuff that may not want to craft. Okay. Okay, we got the generator right there. So there we go, 4x4 generator. The multi-block structure is working. It does need to be in the other direction, but we're going to call this it for now, and I'll finish working on this later, and I'm just going to take a screenshot for the client here.